Okay, so positive exponents, easy. We're going to look today at negative exponents and zero exponents. No, but that's what everybody usually likes to do. That's not how it works. Okay, so pretend for a minute that I ignore this negative, and it's just 10 to the third. What would that look like? 10 times 10 times 10, right? And what is 10 times 10 times 10? 1,000. No, not quite. Okay. Now, if I bring this negative back in, this negative turns all my answers into fractions. So instead of being 1,000, this changes to 1 over 1,000. Then you're done.
Oh, that's easy.
Okay. Let's do some more. Alright, so 2 to the negative third. This changes to be like 1 over 2 to the third, right? All we do is flip it into a fraction. And what is 2 to the third then?
2 times.
Okay, and what's 2 times 2 times 2?
Oh, I mean.
8.
Yeah.
So this changes to 1 over 8.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if I do the same thing with 3 to the negative 3 to the negative 4.
So it would be 1 over negative 3
to the 4. Changes to positive when you move it to the bottom. Okay, so then this is like 1 over negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3.
Oh, wait, no.
There's one more 3. We can do this in our calculator by putting in negative 3 and then using this caret button that looks like kind of like a triangle to the 4.
Negative 81.
81, okay. Or negative 81 because it's negative. So negative 81.
So it was just, yeah.
Okay, so then C though is a little different, right? Because it's not in parentheses. That's the only difference. Which means that instead of being a negative 3 on the bottom, the negative stays out front, and we only move the 3 to the bottom. So then 1 over, we just figured out 3 to the 4th is negative 81. So we get negative, negative 81, negative, negative becomes a positive 1 over 81.
No matter what it's going to do.
On this one, yeah.
No, this section.
Not always. Sometimes they'll be negative. Because like this one was negative.
Okay, but that one was
Pretty much, yeah. Alright, and so then the only thing we didn't cover was zero exponents. I said we'd cover negative exponents and zero exponents. And so what do you think happens when you have a 5 to the 0? It's not 5, no. It's not negative 1, but you're getting a lot closer. It's not 0, it's 1. Yep, anything to the 0 exponent is always 1. No matter what. If you have a letter to the 0 exponent, it's 1. If you have a number to the 0 exponent, it's 1. So Niles, what is 10 to the 0 exponent? Yes, your name's Niles, yes? 1. Okay, Kayam, what's x to the 0 exponent? Okay, Tana, what's z to the 0 exponent? Ethan, what's 1,000,000 to the 0 exponent? 1. And Kalani, what is 263 to the 0 exponent? No. 1. Okay. So remember, any number letter to the 0 exponent, always 1. Okay, let's. You guys feel good? You want to do these?
Okay.
Good. Okay. So let's skip down then to example 3. So example 3 is where we actually start throwing in letters, which is what you do in algebra. Throw letters around. Okay, so if I'm given example 3 of x to the negative 1, and I'm told that x equals 2. So if x is equal to 2, Then we'll take this 2, and I'm going to plug it in for x. If I do that, then I end up with 2 to the negative 1, and 2 to the negative 1. How do I make this negative 1 positive?
You put
Put it on the bottom, right? Make it a fraction. Okay, and what is 2 to the 1? 2, right? So this becomes 1 over 2. Okay, if I do the same thing for part B, if I plug in 8 for A, negative 2 for B, then I get 8 to the 0, negative 2 to the negative 3. We're going to treat these like 2 different problems. Okay? So 8 to the 0, what's 8 to the 0? 1. Okay, how do I make this negative 3 positive? Make it a fraction. Okay, what does my fraction look like? Negative 2 to the 3rd power, right? Okay. What's negative 2 to the 3rd power? 2 times 2 times 2, negative 8. And 1 times negative 8 is? Or 1 times 1 over negative 8 is? 1 over negative 8. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. Let's do, backtrack for a minute. Okay, how do I make this negative 4 positive? Bless you, bless you.
1.
Okay, perfect. I'm not going to make you solve that. Ethan, how do I make this negative 4 positive? Okay, and Niles, how do I make this negative 5 positive?
1.
Okay, 1 over negative 2 to the 5th. Alright. The only other thing we hadn't covered was when there's letters but not numbers, right? So like, well, I guess like A has some numbers, but it's not like an equation that you can solve. So we have 3y to the negative 2. So, not exactly. We're going to break this into 2 different problems, right? Because we have a 3 and then we have a y to the negative 2. So we're going to treat them separately. So, I can do nothing with my 3, right? It's just the number 3. What can I do to this y to the negative 2 to make the negative 2 positive? 1 over y to the 2nd power, right? That'll change it, just like if we had a number instead of that y. Okay, and then this is like 3 over 1, so we multiply straight across. So 3 times 1 is 3, 1 times y squared is y squared. Okay, when you have a negative exponent and a number, move that to the bottom of your fraction. See, so we moved it to the bottom, so that 3 over y squared. Okay, so if we normally are moving to the bottom, if we have a negative exponent on the bottom, where do you think we move it? It's already on the bottom, okay, so we have to move it somewhere, so where's the only other place we can move it? It's the top, right? So, I move that to the top, then I get negative 4 times k. What is my new exponent? Okay, it was negative 4, but it turned positive. So positive 4. So negative 4k to the 4th. Remember, when you move them, you have to change signs. So since we moved this, it became positive. If we move that, it becomes positive. Okay, so let's do one more. So Kwani, then walk me through this. We're going to treat this like 3 different problems, okay? So I'm going to start with this, x to the negative 3. How do I change that to a positive? Okay, so what does my fraction look like? Okay, and then if I treat this like a separate problem, a to the 0 is 1, and then y to the 5th, since it's on the bottom, is 1 over y to the 5th. right? Because it's already on the bottom. And if we move it, then we have to change it to negative, and we don't want to do that. So then what is this simplified to? 1 times 1 times 1 is
1.
1, and x cubed times 1 times y to the 5th is
1.
There you go. 1 over x to the 3rd, y to the 5th. And then you're done. So you won't always get numbers like an actual number for your solution. There will sometimes be letters in your solution, and that's okay. All right? Yeah. Maybe. There we go. Okay.
Oh, wait.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you guys are going to be working through page 395, 1 through 57. In order to be on pace to get this done by the end of tomorrow's class, you have to get through 1 through 23 done today. Okay, that's your pace. You're going to turn them all in together, but your goal today should be to get through 1 through 23. Like, you'll turn in 1 through 57 in one assignment. You're not going to turn in 1 through 23 and then... Oh, no. I had some people try to turn in 1 through 23 today, and I don't want that. I want it all in one assignment, but your goal today should be to get through 1 through 23. Like that one, or you want a different one? That one? Okay.